Okay, so I've been dying to know, since I was a VC Andrews fan as like a little kid,
Right.
I've been dying to know how you got involved doing the ghostwriting.
Oh, okay. Well, in the beginning, I had the same agent and the same editor who had, the agent had discovered V.C. Andrews, and the editor who worked on it at Pocketbooks was my editor. So when the time came to pick up the franchise, because V.C. Andrews, Virginia Andrews, was very ill, they asked me to finish one of the Dollenganger novels. That's how it started. And that was Garden of Shadows,
Ah,
and that began my V.C. Andrews career, so to speak. Because after that, I finished what they called the Heaven series.
yep, I remember that.
And, yeah, so I finished the last three books of that series. And then we went on to a new series, and that was almost 27 years ago.
Oh God, no one do the math.
Well, there's 70 books that
It's
I've written.
wow.
And in the next few years, there'll be 8 more titles.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as a fellow writer, I have to ask you, how long do you spend a day writing?
I usually begin early in the morning and take a break, well, for lunch, and then come back into it and stay till about 2, 3 o'clock. Then exercise, and I used to do some more at night, but now that's usually my day.
So you actually sleep
Every
now.
day, yeah. I don't know if I sleep, but unless I have something going on, I do a little work every day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Because I'm writing, V.C. Andrews, and I'm also doing things under Andrew Neiderman, so I have 44 Neiderman published books.
Wow.
So that involves quite a bit of work.
Well, let me ask you, because obviously the Flowers in the Attic Lifetime movie came out, which was so much fun and really, really cool that they actually kept in some of the more controversial storylines.
Yeah.
So writing stuff like that, why do you think that's really caught everyone's imagination all these years?
Oh, I don't think it's left. The great thing about V.C. Andrews is the demographic. In other words, people who began reading it when they were 11, 12, 15, 18 are mothers and in some cases grandmothers who are recommending the books to their grandchildren and children. So the great thing about the demographic is it spreads over ages. And I think that's what kept it going in the bestseller list and in sales. But the wonderful thing about it is that it's international. And I've been just about everywhere in the world, especially Europe, talking about V.C. Andrews. We're all over the Eastern Europe countries like Czech Republic and Hungary. I've spoken to booksellers in the UK, which covers 45 different entities, and so South Korea. So the wonderful thing about it is a good story with good characters, no matter where you are or what language it works. And I think that's part of the fact that kept it going. Also the fact that it deals with family life.
Yeah.
I think everywhere in the world there's that interest. And the one line that I quote from Virginia Andrews herself when she was asked this question was she's basically fascinated with why people who supposedly love each other harm each other so much. So she was delving into that to start with. And that's where the books basically go one way or the other.
Well, okay, so I obviously read the Heaven series as well, and I've read most of them, so, oh yeah. So, how did you adapt your style for hers, and how does that differ from the things that you write for yourself?
Well, the interesting thing about it was in the beginning, I was writing novels that involved teenagers as well. I've been teaching for high school I taught 23 and a half years in upstate New York in a place called Fallsburg, where I graduated. So I was familiar with that world, and that, so to speak. So it was easy for me to move into it, but her style of writing was quite different from mine, as anybody who reads one of my books and then reads a V.C. Andrews novel can see pretty quickly. Mine are more graphic, a lot more edgy, and deal with more modern subjects in that respect. However, the V.C. Andrews franchise, we've been pushing the envelope, and we're into modern and more up-to-date headline news as well. I basically studied her work the way you might do a research paper. I had been teaching creative writing for 20 years. I knew what it was to write style. I went into it in great detail, and it was many, many years before anybody even thought about the fact that there was a ghostwriter. Even though in the book there's a disclaimer that says basically the estate has hired a writer to carry on V.C. Andrews' genre and storylines.
You know, it's funny, I remember when I saw that and I was so surprised. I don't remember which book it was that it hit me, but it's really impressive that you can switch styles that easily.
Well, I guess that's been the one wonderful thing about it, I think, and the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that we had number one New York Times bestsellers right up to the last 3 or 4 years. It's been that way. The book market has changed dramatically, so we're adjusting for it. But basically, we've always been on the New York Times list. The book's always sold real well. There was never any major complaint about it in that regard. Now, with the Facebook page, more and more fans know about me. I've been revealed, so to speak, in such things as Fortune magazines, the New York Times, TV shows, everywhere. Basically, a quote, come out of the closet. And the fact is that many different media outlets are now picking up on the headline news that I'm actually now the most successful ghostwriter in American publishing history.
Wow.
Because this franchise has gone on for 34 years straight.
Oh my gosh.
Unlike other franchises that go and stop and go, like for example, James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are many different writers who's done James Bond. There's only been one V.C. Andrews writer, that's me, for 34 years that the franchise has been on. And as I said, I'm into my 27th year.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so I'm curious about, were you involved with the miniseries at all?
Which miniseries?
The Flowers in the Attic.
Oh, I have been working in Hollywood to try to get a V.C. Andrews film made for at least 20 years. The producer who owned the rights was reluctant to give up any control. And we proposed, Dan Angel of, he's now called Everywhere Studios, and I went to many different outlets to try to get a V.C. Andrews novel into film. I always knew that if Flowers in the Attic was made, that it would open the doors. So we went to Lifetime, at the time MGM bought the library, so we went to the MGM people, we kept at it and at it and at it, until finally Lifetime, in its own deal making, created the Flowers in the Attic movie, that remake that we just saw. Because it was an in-house production, I didn't have anything to do with the actual writing of it, and Petals on the Wind was also owned by the same producer. So that sequel is also in-house and is going to be done on May 26th, and the same situation. But everything after that now is basically in the control of Everywhere Studios, and with me as consultant, so we'll be involved in whatever comes out now.
Right, I did say miniseries, I meant TV movie. But, okay, so then I had seen, because you sent me some of the pictures from Petals on the Wind,
Right.
and I believe it said that if there be thorns